Good evening and welcome to the Nevis Newscast for today, Wednesday, July 8th, 2015. I'm your presenter, Bronte Swanston Hendrickson. Now for the news in detail. The Ministry of Human Resources in the Nevis Island Administration continues to initiate programs within the civil service to enhance the performance of officers as well as the professionalism of various officers. Earlier today, permanent secretaries and heads of departments were exposed to a lecture discussion by Mr. Douglas Watley, which took place at the St. Paul's Anglican Church Hall. Prior to the session, Acting Permanent Secretary in Human Resources Ornette Herbert rationalized the session.
When one is employed in an institution, they have to understand its functions, rules, regulations, policies, etc. For you, some of the officers, sometimes you get overwhelmed with understanding and effecting policies of your respective ministry and department, and are also expected to know and carry out the duties, rules, and regulations of the public service.
Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Vance Amory, who also has ministerial responsibility for the human resources, noted that it is important that issues such as efficiency, effectiveness, and professionalism be addressed.
For me, it is very critical that we look at these things and that we get a handle on what we want from this institution, what we can give to the institution, and how each one of you, each one of us, could make the institution more efficient, more purposeful, and get a greater output for the energies which we spend and for the resources which are spent generally.
The Premier also used the opportunity to welcome to the civil service publicly Ms. Kamara Lee, who was recently employed as training officer in the Ministry of Human Resources.
My most important appeal to all of us is that we do the right thing in the right way and you will get the right results. And I think this is certainly part of should be part of the mantra of the civil service. So we've brought Ms. Leon as a training officer, and I really want to wish her well. And I know from her expressions of concern and her expressions of enthusiasm that she is going to be a strong support for Ms. Herbert and the other members of the public service, especially in the area of training and development.
The half-day session attracted a number of department heads and senior civil servants, some of whom had positive sentiments about today's training. The opening ceremony for the 25th edition of the Gingerland Public Library's Environmental Awareness Program took place on July 3rd at the Gingerland Public Library grounds under the theme Promoting Agricultural Productivity for Food Security. Chairperson of the program, David Grant, in his opening remarks, said that he hoped the program would encourage the children to become involved in agriculture.
I would hope that this week's activity will be very interactive. The children can visit the agro-processing plant, they can visit Prospect, New River, Potworks, and so on. And there are several activities that they can be involved in order to promote agricultural productivity, not only for the island of Nevis, but for themselves and their families. So I would challenge Mrs. Liebert to encourage the children during the sessions to become directly involved in agriculture, and we can start right here, even today.
Outlining the overview of the two-week program was librarian at the Gingerland Public Library, Yvette Liebert.
The objective for this year's programs are to introduce and reinforce the benefits of agriculture, to develop an understanding of the production of healthy crops and animals, to recognize the importance of producing more food to ensure food security, to develop an awareness that processing available materials will create a value-added product.
In delivering the feature address, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Eric Evelyn, stated that the Environmental Awareness Program is of utmost importance.
I believe this environmental awareness program is so important, where we are inculcating in our students from a young age how important this industry called agriculture is. And so I would encourage the students who are taking part in this environmental awareness program to pay particular attention to what you're going to hear over the next 2 weeks, the primary schoolers as well as the secondary schoolers, and try to not take agriculture and food security for granted.
He then commended the organizers of the program and officially declared the program open.
I really want to commend the library, Mrs. Liebert and her team, for being so consistent in this environmental awareness program every year. And I'm really happy to see so many students here this morning, and you are all here early as well. So once again, congratulations to the library on your 25th environmental awareness program. And I would like to wish the program well for the next 2 weeks. And I encourage all of you who are here to not only learn, but to take the message to the other students as well. And so now it gives me great pleasure to declare the 25th Environmental Awareness Program of the Gingerland Public Library officially open.
The program is expected to run for 2 weeks, with the closing ceremony being held on Friday, July 24th at the Gingerland Public Library. The Inland Revenue Department Nevis hosted their first dinner and awards banquet on Sunday, July 7th at the Nisbet Plantation Beach Club. The banquet was the culmination of the department's week of activities, hosted under the theme, Know Your Taxes, Know Your IRD. Senior Tax Officer at the Design, Planning and Monitoring Unit, Rhonda Thompson, conducted the award ceremony.
What we're about to do now is to recognize and acknowledge each and every staff from the Inland Revenue Department, from the management, to say thank you for being hard workers and encouraging people to pay their taxes and on time.
The ceremony included recognition of the winners of the tax booth competition and a tax art display competition, the collections unit. The employee recognition for best attendance was awarded to Lester Liebert, longest serving officer at the Inland Revenue Department, Corey Maynard. Employee recognition of appreciation for 25 years of service to the Nevis Island Administration, NIA, Sonia Cozier. Employee recognition of appreciation for years of service to the NIA, Lester Liebert. The award for Employee of the Year was presented to Velda Mills, while Marsha Daniel received Most Creative Officer. Additional awards were also presented to Quincy Prentice, Director of the Department of Information Technology and Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, Colin Dorr. Awards were also distributed to the Best Dressed Female, Velda Mills, and Best Dressed Male, Sidney Hobson. Also present at the banquet was Premier of Nevis and Minister of Finance, Honorable Vance Amory, Deputy Premier of Nevis, Honorable Mark Brantley, and the Comptroller in the St. Kitts Nevis Inland Revenue Department, Edward Gift. Coming up,
we are not just teachers. We are the managers of the world's greatest resource.
The details after this break. Welcome back. The Department of Education and the school librarians are poised and ready for the 6th staging of Family Book Feud on Saturday, 11th July 2015 at 5 p.m. at the Nevis Performing Arts Center, NEPAC. This year, families will represent 9 schools on the island to vie for the title of Warner's One-Stop Family Book Feud 2015 champions. Reigning champions, the Montessori Academy is poised and ready to defend their title. The participants for this year are Charlestown Secondary, Chanel Nisbet and Chavanel Williams, Elizabeth Pemberton Primary, Denzel and Doris Stanley, Ivor Walters Primary, Taresia Brown and Kylie Clark, Montessori Academy, Cassandra and Lincoln Sandiford, Maud Cross Preparatory, Risa and Taisia McCoy, St. Thomas's Primary, Ophelia and Jaden Morton, Violet O. Jeffers Nichols Primary, Mary and Hugh J. Jeffers, Joyce and Libert Primary, Yolanda and Liniqua Dyer, St. James's Primary, Nigel and Najilia Semple. The school librarians are encouraging all to get their tickets from your schools before Saturday night, since pre-sold tickets are only $5, but on the night of the 11th July, they will be sold at $10. The Nevis Teachers Union hosted an appreciation cocktail at the Occasions Entertainment Center on Saturday, July 4th to honor both past and present teachers. Representing the Premier's ministry and speaking on behalf of the Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Vance Amory, was Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education and Library Services, Wakely Daniel.
Not long ago, the Premier and I, along with the Honorable Sean Richards from St. Kitts, attended a conference, the ministerial conference in Commonwealth Ministerial Conference in the Bahamas. At that conference, it was brought to our attention or impressed upon us even more that teachers are critical to quality education, and teachers are also critical to equitable development within any nation. It takes a fully motivated, well-trained group of teachers, a cadre of teachers who is well-trained, well-motivated in order to have a country progress.
Daniel stated that he was elated to be able to celebrate with the teachers. Meanwhile, President of the Nevis Teachers Union, Ornette Webb, in her remarks, implored the teachers to practice good work ethics.
I want to encourage you and implore you to practice good work ethics. We ought to conduct ourselves in such a way as befits our calling. Do what is right in the sight of God and for the children we serve. In the words of Robert John Meehan, and I quote, "We are not just teachers, we are the managers of the world's greatest resource." End of quote.
The cocktail had members of the Nevis Teachers Union from the various primary and high schools around the island. Assistant Permanent Secretary in the Premier's Ministry, Kevin Barrett, hosted the event. Meantime, the Nevis Teachers Union, NTU, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, recognized retired teachers of the primary and secondary schools on Nevis as part of the appreciation cocktail hosted at the Occasions Entertainment Center on Saturday, July 4th. The award ceremony recognized the teachers who recently retired from the profession. Special recognition was given to Marion Lescott, who was honored for 41 years of excellent service to the Ministry and Department of Education. President of the NTU, Ornette Webb, gave a background of Lescott's service to education.
Mrs. Lescott has served on the executive of the Nevis Teachers Union in various capacities from 1991 to 2009. She has been floor member, second vice president, general secretary, and treasurer. She remains a part of the union until now and is an ardent advocate for teachers to become members. She draws work like a magnet, which gives credence to the opinion that the reward for work well done is more work. And should you find yourself in her sphere, she will make you work too. She loves people and is an optimist of the first degree. It does not matter the challenge, she is up to it. I salute Mrs. Marion Lescott, a stalwart in education.
Lescott graduated from the Teachers Training College. She went on to pursue her Bachelor of Science in Education with the University of Miami and is currently training as an Olympian trainer. Delivering remarks was the Principal Education Officer in the Ministry of Education, Palsy Wilkin.
Teachers, I want us to take a leaf from Mrs. Lescott's book. Mrs. Lescott dedicated her life to education in Nevis. Her teaching career spanned 41 years, 1974 to present. No mean feat.
The NTU also awarded retired teachers Robina Award in recognition of 37 years of dedicated service to the Ministry and the Department of Education. Mrs. Lornette Roper for 40 years of service, Gracia Brown, Ellen Grant for 21 years, and Nola Reed for 39 years. That's it for tonight's edition of the Nevis Newscast. Thank you for viewing. I am Bronte Swanston Hendrickson. Good night.